And let's kind of look at the transfer quarterbacks here, because I think, for some of these teams, you're only as good as these guys play, at least on the
Right.
offensive side of the ball. And there's been a lot of them. You have Cade McNamara going from Michigan to Iowa. Hudson Card is at Purdue, coming over from Texas. Luke Altmaier, you mentioned, Ole Miss to Illinois. Taven Jackson goes from Tennessee to Indiana. And then Jeff Sims is a quarterback coming over from Georgia Tech, going to Matt Rule and Nebraska. We can touch on all these guys, but just right off the top of your head, who do you think of those guys kind of makes the biggest impact, or the team needs them to kind of make the biggest impact when they come in?
So, and we will touch a little bit on all of them, but I think in answer to that question, I think Cade McNamara going from Michigan to Iowa. And remember, this is a guy who, when Michigan made their run in 2021, he was the guy. He was the starting quarterback, and he played well. And, a lot of people early in the season thought, well, he's just a game manager, don't lose the game. But there were times down the stretch where he had to play big, and he did. And then he lost the job to J.J. McCarthy. And so, he went to Iowa. I'm sure he has got a huge chip on his shoulder and something to prove that he is a starting quarterback in the Big Ten. And to me, Iowa has been so good on defense. They just need something better to happen on offense. As good as they've been on defense the last couple of years, they've been equally poor on offense. And part of that, not all of it, but part of it has been quarterback play and inconsistent quarterback play. So I think if Cade McNamara can play like I know he's capable of, and like he proved at Michigan, and that offense improves, I really think Iowa and Wisconsin are the two teams to beat in the Big Ten West. And I think that's why I think Cade McNamara has the biggest impact to make. You mentioned Tanner Mordecai. This is his first year with Phil Longo and his last year of eligibility, but he played in wide open, similar kind of offenses, both at Oklahoma. Then he transferred to SMU and played for Rhett Lashley at SMU. Same kind of system, same kind of open offense. So he will take to that offense really well. Hudson Card, Hudson Card was a starter at Texas and, lost his job to Quinn Ewers, but he is a talented guy. And when I saw him in the spring, I was impressed with what he looked like just in his, not just his physical skills and running the offense, but just how the team responded to him. He hadn't been on campus that long, but just, he's clearly the guy there and the leader of that football team. So, and then Jeff Sims, Jeff Sims is a talented guy that Matt Rule was able to get out of the transfer portal. He played for 3 years as a starter at Georgia Tech. And, he took his lumps there. Georgia Tech didn't have a great cast around him, but he still was very productive as a thrower and a runner. And I think that's what they're going to use him in offensively at Nebraska. Marcus Satterfield is the offensive coordinator, came from South Carolina. And I think they're excited about Jeff Sims and what he brings to their offense. So, and the fact that he is a dual threat, so I think he has a chance to have an impact. But of all of them, right off the bat and in year one, Cade McNamara, I think, is the guy.
It kind of strikes me, Todd, going through all the quarterbacks who are coming in as transfers and expected to play a big role immediately, start right away. And I wonder if that's just going to be the way of the world. Is it somewhat a function of some of the new coaches in some of these spots, or are the days of recruiting that 5-star as a freshman and then watching him bloom and play a bunch of games for you? I mean, is that going by the wayside now? Are we going to see this many transfer quarterbacks come in every other year for some of these programs, you think, Todd?
Yeah, I do think that's, unfortunately or fortunately, it is kind of a trend, and I think that for a couple reasons. I think a lot of young quarterbacks, they aren't patient anymore. If they sign somewhere and they're not playing after a year or a year and a half, they're going to look for somewhere else to go, and that's just the way of the world. I mean, you're not going to see guys put their time in and wait and start playing as a junior or senior. Those days are kind of gone when you're dealing with these high level recruits. And that makes it difficult even having depth at that position, and that's one of the problems that creates is, you may have a great starter, but there might be a big drop off between your number one and number two at that position, more so than other positions on your team, because it's really hard to keep, a couple, two, and definitely not 3 high-level quarterbacks or guys you could trust to put in there and play and win for you on a weekly basis. It's hard to keep that on your roster nowadays.